element than you need
Yes.
to. So I've got Corbin Lilu, that's a lab, and a Rhodesian Ridgeback. So I have 2 big dogs, and then I have 2 little dogs, 2 Morkies that are Rick and Morty. And all 4 of them love getting in the car, and all 4 of them hate their lives after I start it. They're like, no, I lied. I fucking lied. I'm sorry.
Rick and Morty? My dad's dog was actually almost the opposite of that, because I remember that when my brother lived on near North Carolina Central's campus, and I actually was living with him at that time, whether it was either my brother starting the car or my dad starting the car, Coffee would literally just kind of like jump into the jump seat and be like, where are we going?
Yes. That's
didn't
how
matter
the dogs I had were.
which one of the family members was going. It didn't matter whether it was my brother or my dad, but Coffee was jumping in the car like, we're going somewhere? Where?
Yep. Yeah.
Where
Here's the car start and is already out there like, I'm ready. Let's do this.
So I'll admit,
Cammy was like that.
Cammy, so I had picked every dog that we get from the shelter.
Right.
Although I got to call my brother out. Mark, you know my brother.
Yes.
So I got to call my brother out. He decided to go and get himself an expensive dog. Yeah, he spent
designer dogs.
Yeah, he spent $3,000 on that dog. Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts.
That is nuts.
I spent less than that on my son's car.
Yeah, I know.
You can buy like 10 shelter dogs for that.
Yeah. but in all honesty, that's what some people do. They go and buy these designer dogs. I go straight to the shelter and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick out this one. And that's where we got Cammy from. And so Cammy, the first time she rode in the car, she enjoyed it. For about 2 or 3 months after that, she didn't. But now, because I started taking her to camp, doggy daycare.
I love that shit.
Oh man.
They love it, and they're
ready.
So
I saw the most touching story, and this has nothing to do with a dog of my own and everything. But I was, I'm going to talk to people that are in the neighborhood, and I was walking nearby. This was probably today's Thursday, so I think it was Tuesday, and there was a gentleman walking his dog. The dog had like a towel around his back paw, and I was asking the person what happened to the dog. It turns out that the dog has cancer of the back paw and all of that, and they can't. So he has to clean the dog regularly, but they can't cure the whatever the cancer is. They can't remove the cancer. So what this gentleman has done, because he told me, he said the only option I had was that they told me that I could take the dog's paw, and I thought that would be cruel. So he was not going to take the dog's paw. So he decided to keep the dog, and he's just going to like bandage the dog and could protect this dog. And the dog was a fairly old dog. I think he told me the dog was like maybe, I want to say somewhere around 13, 14 years old. And all of that. Wow. So it was an older dog.
Very old. Wow. That must have been a smaller dog, because most big breeds do not live that long. Oh, poor baby.
That's what I said when I saw the dog.
Way to bring us down. We were having a happy time, and you had to bring in the sadness.
When I was talking about the nature of the fact that the person was beginning to loving with their dog, and they're going to keep the dog going. So I was actually keeping it in a very positive light.
I'm feeling positive right now. That's the feeling I have.
Cancer.
Cancer, paw-foot, sad dog. Although I feel like it'd be easier on the dog to just cut the leg off. Like there'd be no more pain. Yeah, he'd be a 3-legged dog, but like.
But I mean,
I have a friend in town, like downtown. He has a dog whose back legs have given out because she is old, and now he has a wagon for her.
Wheel. Yeah.
So yeah, she's strolling through downtown Cincinnati in a wagon.
Doggy wheelchairs. Oh God.
She does have a wheelchair too, and she has a wagon. Like,
did you ever see the picture on Facebook? Because I know that you've also known my dad, who's an artist. But did you ever see the picture when he had the turtle that he rescued sometime back? This was a couple of years back, that he put on the wheels and everything. Yep. So yes, my dad rescued a turtle. He saw the turtle. The turtle was hurt, so he put it on little roller skates, and it's actually on his Facebook page because the turtle lived for a while living with the roller skates, because that's what he did. He saw the turtle and he rescued it.
Everything about that is wonderful. Could you imagine that turtle's like just going?
Turtle pop.
Yes, give me a turtle on wheels. I want to see a turtle unleashed. What happens? Is he just like all the things? We go everywhere.
It's like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Oh, turtle on wheels. Turtle on wheels. Oh, I'm going to sleep with that one tonight.
To circle it back to game.
I'm sorry. We have not even gotten to games. My bad.
Hey, but that could be a whole new game. We could have a whole new
yes.
video game, Turtle on Wheels.
Turtle
This could be
races.
the creation of a new game.
I'm here for turtle races. CDM Gaming, turtle races every Tuesday. What?
Turtle Tuesday.
I would run that. Put your bets on the green. Green is killing it this week. Like, oh my God.
All of the turtles are green.
Yeah. Turtle on
Then
wheels.
you can have the different types of turtles. The box turtle could go against the snapper. We could just have a whole contest.
You are out of your mind if you think I'm putting a snapper on wheels.
Like Ninja Turtles, sashes around their heads.
We can name them different names. Mikey is the snapping turtle because snapping turtles are assholes and ornery. And I hate them. Or Raphael. I guess Raphael should be the snapping turtle.
Raphael should be the snapping turtle.
For sure. All moody and stuff for no reason. Nothing hurt you. You're fine. But go ahead, be a bitch. Yeah.
Donatello's
totally.
a cool one though. Donatello has to be maybe the Galapagos turtle.
Ooh.
So what's the boxer? What's the box gonna be?
Leo, Obvi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quintessential, middle of the road leader, box turtle. I'm liking it. Okay. But then who is Mikey? Then who's Mikey? We got Raphael, Donnie. Who's going to be the little psycho that runs around? What's the fastest little... Is there such thing as a fast turtle?
Sea turtles?
Sea turtles, that could work.
No. That's Crush from Finding Nemo. Always.
No, but Crush is the closest to Mikey.
No, you can do the alligator. What's that? The alligator turtle? The
alligator snapping turtle? No, that's Shredder. That is straight up Shredder. Oh my shit! Have you seen one of those in real life?
Oh, they're creepy.
Dude, we were driving down the road. This is an Oklahoma story for you because only this shit happens in the country. Driving down the fucking road. It's like a one lane. And I'm like, there's a rock in the road. So we get out to, it's a snapping turtle. It's a giant. It is probably 5 foot long once it's extended. And my husband goes to grab it from behind to move it. And its neck comes out and around like this. I was like, leave. We just popped it in 4-wheel drive and went off the road because that thing was huge. It was like 2.5, 3 foot tall. It was ginormous. No, hell no. Screw that thing. Ugh.
Siren is not having this snapper turtle. Siren's like, no snapper turtles for me at all.
Alligator snapping turtles. Next time you go to an aquarium, you look at those things. They got these like beaky things too.
Let's Google them.
See, you know what's really crazy about this whole conversation? Is that this is how everything is connected. Oh, I'm the obscure one who, trying to connect everything.
Yeah.
Our conversation is about turtles and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all the other stuff right now. Well, one of the news stories that I had picked up that's going to be in the video is what it's about.
Really?
Yes.
Is what? Ninja Turtles?
Dinosaur guys.
Teenage Mutant Turtles.
See the tail? See how long the tail and the neck are? They're terrifying.
Let me see. Oh, wow. That looks scary.
Yeah, sorry. Glare.
And they've got like domey, spiky things on the... No, hell no. No. Mm-mm. No, thanks.
So, Siren, you're over there in Florida. What were you doing in Oklahoma? Is your husband's family from Oklahoma? Or
I'm from Oklahoma. I grew up on a 1,100-acre cattle farm.
Okay.
She's a cowgirl.
I am the only Asian cowgirl, probably. Yeah. But then we joined the military, so we move everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
well, like I said, there's definitely some active cultures out in Oklahoma. I've always been here in North Carolina, but I want to say one of my cousins' family members has got ties to either Oklahoma, Texas, somewhere in there because he's a member of the Apache tribe. So he's definitely
nice.
Oklahoma. I think Apache is actually Nevada. That's awesome, though. Either way,
I didn't know
whole area. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't
You did not know
remember
what?
the Apache tribe.
Not me myself, but my cousin Verna married her husband, Lonnie. He is part Apache. I think he's part Apache and part European American, but he is definitely part Apache.
That's pretty
So-
cool.
Okay, see, this is with everything connected, and the jokes that pop in my head. I did the Stevie Wonder one last time.
no.
There's another one that just popped in my head since he
Oh,
said he was
no.
part of the Apache tribe. Did he yell out, "Tonto,
Don't do
jump
it."
on it, jump on it"?
That
Oh,
was
that's
very
even
bad.
worse than the one I thought you were gonna do.
I
Oh
am
no.
sorry.
That was
Oh.
bad. That was
Oh,
very
it's so
bad.
bad. It hurt. Jump on it. Jump on it.
See, now the song is gonna be stuck in your head too.
It is. Yeah, that's all I can hear
The
now.
song's gonna become an earworm. Everybody's gonna be thinking about this song all day long.
I know.
Middle school dances, weddings.
Straight up.
What's the jam?
Brr, 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 brr. Jump on it. Jump on it. Jump on it. Oh, great. Thanks a ton for that, by the way.
Yeah.
We're horrible people.
Yes, we are. We are. But I guess we got to talk a little bit about something. Here are the news stories for today,
All right.
or at least the first part of the news stories. Here you go.
Regulators approve Microsoft's $7.5 billion acquisition of Bethesda parent company ZeniMax Media. Microsoft's $7.5 billion purchase of ZeniMax Media, parent company of Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, and Doom maker Bethesda, has cleared another set of hurdles, winning approval to proceed from both the European Commission and US Securities and Exchange Commissions.
Monster Hunter Stories 2 takes flight July 9. Monster Hunter fans have a date with the newly hatched baby Rathalos on July 9th, when Capcom launches Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin for the Nintendo Switch and Steam.
Over 5,000 Final Fantasy XIV players were banned for using or advertising real money trading. As spotted by PC Games N, on March the 4th, FF14 publisher Square Enix revealed via a news post on the FF14 website that 5,851 players had been banned for their involvement with real money trading or other prohibited activities. 5,037 players were banned for directly participating in real money trading. Meanwhile, another 814 players were banned for simply advertising real money trading.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
A Twitch streamer unearthed cards from a fake 90s Pokemon ripoff, and fans are pretending the series was real all along. There's elaborate performance art, and then there's what renowned Twitch jester Germa did over the weekend. In a truly inspired stream, he parodied the recent Pokemon booster pack craze by going out into the Nevada desert and pretending to excavate a chest seemingly full of unopened Pokemon cards from 1997. They turned out to be something different: Grotto Beasts. Spoiler: Grotto Beasts is not and never has been a real series, but that hasn't stopped Germa's community from taking the joke and running with it to the furthest ends of the internet.
No, my balls.
Okay, that was all kinds of great news. But I do have a question for you, Toby, based on your recent news, and it's actually for, everybody's allowed to answer this question, is since we're the Gamers Den, and since we saw a bunch of cute animals, we saw the cat, we saw the birds, we saw the rabbits and everything else. I think I'll pose you and Siren first, since y'all are in the gaming world. Do you think that animals play video games? And if so, what video games do they play?
I was thinking the same thing. Who picked the bunny? Who picked the bunny? So who picked the bunny? Who picked the chickens? Because they're freaking adorable, but I'm super confused.
They were adorable and they had me confused, but I'm sitting there going to myself, I wonder if animals play video games, and if so, do they use I'm thinking that as soon as Kara goes to Kroger, Rita and Henry are in a video game match. We don't know what the game is, but they're playing a game.
Do you remember Guitar Hero back in the day? How it on the screen, I had a Akita. No, I'm sorry. I had a Shiba Inu when we lived in Okinawa, and she was real smart, but she hated that shit. She would play play, she'd stand
What?
there and try and bite them as they came through the different colors. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the closest I've ever seen a dog play video game. That's my only story. That's all I got.
What you got,
My
Jacoby?
dog tried to eat it.
So evidently Elon Musk, I just found a story on it. Yeah, Elon Musk was trying to get a monkey to play video games.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Interesting. I feel like that has a lot of secondary and tertiary ramifications that I want to think through, but that's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm already worried.
Right there.
That he's wired up a monkey's brain to play a video game. All right.
Ethics? Can that happen?
I don't know if it's an ethics issue. I think the biggest thing is he's either trying to figure out what parts of your brain light up when you play so that you can have a hands-free gaming eventually, or he's trying to figure out if video gaming, like where in is it possible for animals that aren't sapient to play? And if so, that means that the younger, that means that you can go younger and younger though, because it would be more reflexive and less learned. I mean, it's just a very interesting thing.
No, it's very interesting. And one of the things I'm wondering about is weren't monkeys and certain other animals, including dogs, used as the first training for the space travel before we had John Glenn and the rest of them going up and everything? So it seems to me it's that same kind of concept.
Yeah.
Blown up in spaceships and sent to the moon.
Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, there were a bunch of shows that were on that. There was one movie. I won't watch it anymore because it makes me cry all the time. It's the one with Matthew Broderick in it, about sending a monkey into space and the tests that they actually run to get them to perform under pressure, and that was the whole purpose behind it. Matter of fact, what is it? What's the Space Force? The Netflix series. They poked fun at it. Where they sent out a
monkey.
Yep. They
had a chimp.
Yep. They found a dog in one of the. It was actually pretty funny, but
it was. But they did do that.
Yeah. So animals are definitely tested upon in many different ways.
Kara does not like it. Kara does not like animal testing.
This is such a depressing conversation.
So this is where you and I are going to differ because I'm a big fan of animal testing, honestly. I know that sounds weird, but
everyone I get it. Like I see both sides, but I'm also like, but
I think too, I've worked in labs getting my master's in psychology and finishing all that up and doing the R&D hours that you got to put in for your clinicals.
Yeah.
They're treated like fucking kings. It's really hard for me to feel bad. Like, and this is, I have this same conversation about rodeos coming from Oklahoma where people are like, it's so bad for them. And how can you treat these animals so poorly and you hurt them? Dude, you have no idea the life that these rodeo animals have. It is so much better than 99% of every animal of their species. So yes, I agree with you. There's been some really bad stuff.
I mean, even on the farm though, I mean, animals have great lives and then they just have that one bad day and they don't even know about it. They're just like put in a little sleeve and then
it kind of sounds like us, doesn't it? Like we're just living our lives and we got one bad day. Like
I know people are like, animal cruelty. Like, no, it's called, meat and like hunting. I don't, it's like if you know something, if you've seen stuff and if you've taken the time to, like, if you're in a position to know something and see how it's done, then of course you're going to have a view. Like for me, of course, I'm like, animal testing because I don't know about it. But I am not one of those people who are like, this is bad. It's just I don't know about it, and it's sad because
it's overwhelming when you don't know for sure.
Yeah,
no, and that actually raises a question I was going to ask, and I think the Joe got some thought as well. But one of the things is earlier today I was on the roundtable that they do here on IBM TV. but then I stayed on afterwards. I was talking to Shaquille, and at some point, Shaquille was showing us a dog that he races. He literally races a greyhound, and one of his greyhounds won $1 million in Australia. And I'm sitting there going, like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, that sounds really good for Shaquille and his team of investors, but what does the dog get out of this $1 million prize and everything? So I'm like, that seems like it could be good, but I mean, do you really get like $1 million worth of kibble and bits? So I mean, how much does it improve
and
your
all
life?
the lady dogs that he wants. I don't know.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it has to come down to ethics, I guess. Some will believe that all animal testing is bad, and based off of some view that they've seen, or something that they've seen that has turned them off, like the makeup testing of how they painted faces on different animals to see if they get the reaction based on their skin and stuff like that. And that's, some people see that as torture. If you're talking about, oh Lord, sorry. Okay. If you're talking about, and I think the animal testing is different from the animal racing, because, for example, a horse racing, which is one of the biggest traditions in our country, oldest traditions.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of it. Now, I will say here, I'm not a huge fan of it because of, the cruelty that happens to the horse if they're.
I agree, 100%.
And so that's different from animal testing.
Yeah,
because
I would say that animal testing, there's quite a few commissions and businesses and auditing entities that come with and external privatized auditing entities, PETA and stuff like that come along for a lot of the labs. They're so highly scrutinized. I would say that is the one place I feel like animals actually are treated well. I totally agree with you, though, on the racing and everything.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue for me personally is being like, we had 900 head of cattle. We also had, 50 chickens, our own little, we had a whole farm. I grew up on a whole farm. But my issue always is when people don't treat animals the way that they think. So I'm with you on the ethics thing, but I don't like when people put their own, like, they're not people, they're animals. You know, it's like, oh, I dressed my dog and it does this. I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of torture because dogs actually want a kennel. They're den animals. They need a whole pack. That's how they work. Their brain physiology is even wired that way. There are literally parts of their brain that are wired together to teach them, to force them to be a pack animal. Taking them by themselves with no other animals, just treating them like a human is torture. Feeding them people food, that's terrible for them. Like, that is also, in my mind, a form of torture. Now, don't get me wrong, I still fucking feed my dogs off the table and shit. But I do think that the differentiation isn't necessarily in the ethics of the person. It's how they see the animal and if they're treating it like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to treat a tiger the same way that you would treat a house cat. Domesticated animals think different. They're literally physiologically different.
And that's a hard lesson to learn, but it is so important because on our end, you're like, oh, I don't want to hurt my animal. I don't want him to be mad at me for, making sure that he doesn't bark and annoy my neighbors and get bored and destructive and eat everything in my apartment, including my walls, right? Dogs especially, they need that structure. They need to know who's their den.
But they act out like that when they don't have the structure. Sure. Because that's how they're wired.
Yeah, it took a while for me to be like, okay, so I don't like the idea, but it's been recommended, to try a bark collar. And for him, like my dog, like it didn't hurt him at all. It was more like, what is this? I guess I better just listen to you a little more. And
it's
that was
the same thing that we do with babies. Like when babies are crying, sometimes they just get super worked up. They'll teach you in the hospitals because my son was in NICU, so that we had a lot of one-on-one. And he was like, hey, if your kid is freaking like getting that worked up, blow in his face. Just like that. Because it's enough that it startles them and they go, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, no,
and that's kind of what that collar does. It like shocks them out of it. They're like, whoa, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
wait.
And then he's like, okay, so what do you want me to do now? And it's like teaching them to be like, search for a purpose. Okay, well, what's the purpose? Okay, great. Let's do this. And
no, I agree with you on that. But even on the animals, I disagree with you on one of those because I was actually, I think I might go see a dog race, even though because it seems to me that it would be interesting to watch, and they are trained, those greyhounds, to race dog races. I've always, ever since Fear and Loathing, I've always wanted to go see a horse race and everything. So I've always wanted to go to the Kentucky Derby. Now there are certain other kind of like more animal cruelty sports that I would want no part of. Like I'm not a big fan of the dog fights and things of that nature. Definitely not a fan of the rooster fights and all of that, because that's definitely one where you know that there's cruelty. I'm not saying that there's not cruelty toward the horses and toward the dogs, but a lot of times they're very much trained and very much well kept and all of that.
Well,
so
the cruelty to the horses and the animals isn't the racing; it's the policy. It's oh, did you slow down too much? We're gonna shoot you. Wait, what? Like it's the policy, it's the way they run them, it's the way they train them, but not the races. And dogs actually are different. They love racing. Those greyhounds love it. That's their purpose.
And after their career, they still get to live.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
On an interesting note, to bring it into the gaming world, we did have a comment that popped up. And I will admit, in Minecraft,
what happened?
Well, he was, I guess, making a little humor about our conversation. But don't blow up the cows in Minecraft because we need them.
Everybody needs a little steak.
But in Minecraft, that's the whole digital side and trying to understand the difference between reality and entertainment.
What is?
Blowing up the cows in Minecraft. I mean,
it's been a minute since I saw Minecraft. Can you actually blow up cows in Minecraft?
Yeah.
Oh, you can blow up anything in Minecraft.
Because we're like, oh, we can't do that in real life, so we will on a video game. Really?
So it's in a roundabout way. In all honesty, for some people, that is the way it's thought of for video games, because you can't
like Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto. It gives you the ability to do that, but
I mean that's why everybody freaked out when GTA came out, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, if they do it on a video game, they're gonna do it in real life.
But like it happens in real life. Like in Cincinnati, we're really close to Samurai Sword season. Like weirdness happens, especially in the summer.
But I mean, isn't part of that also a cop out though? And Jacoby, I want to come to you and everything. Isn't part of this a cop out? Because it seems to me that every time that somebody goes into one of these killing sprees and everything, at some point they ask them how they got inspired, and usually 9 times out of 10 they come back to the video games, or they come back to like they played this game or that game.
No. So what ends up happening is when they talk to the people aren't saying the video game. What ends up happening is that people use games as a scapegoat. Hey, this game is violent. And you know what? I think he may have played this game, knowing if he didn't or not. It didn't matter. But what it is, hey, in GTA, which was used actually in a court case at one point, saying that, oh, well, this kid, he played Grand Theft Auto. There's no...
The lawyers brought that up. Yeah, he never said that he had played it even.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that one up too. That's perfect.
So that's stupid though, because you can play any game, right? And it depends on like your personal life, like the influence.
The bottom line is it's personal responsibility, right?
Yeah, like it's like the people you're around have a bigger influence than video games.
Yeah, that's exactly true. Is that
that's very much true.
So it's saying that the people who are shit in his life don't like have much of a factor compared to a video game, and
which is also possible.
And what we forget, or what people forget, is that games are more of an outlet for stress,
right?
Rather than, hey, I'm going to go play this game, and this is what I'm going to do in real life. It's more or less, I want to go relax. What am I going to go do? I'm going to play.
Yeah, but I mean, these people you're talking about have dissociative disorders of some sort, where there's some sort of differentiation between what they perceive as real and what they perceive as fake. And that's actually a very easy psychologically, that's a very easy step in gaming. So this is interesting. This actually came about with the whole gamification psychology, realm of psychology that came about. Basically, they're talking about how if everything is gamified, the line in your psyche between your ego and your id gets split. Basically, you don't know the difference between what you think you are and what you're perceived as and want to be. Because you are able to rewrite that in these games, and then you are personally associated and invested with them, with these personas that they almost kind of meld. So it's something like, so my name is Ren. My first name is not Ren. Ren is my middle name. So I go by Siren because I thought it was a cute play on words and it's my name. However, I'm kind of going through that same thing where there's a differentiation between talking about myself as Ren and talking about myself as Denny. You know what I mean? Like having Denny's my first name. So Denny Ren.
That's adorable. Sorry.
Thanks.
Like I would have never guessed.
So I can relate to that because, like I said, my brother does the same thing. My brother actually goes by his middle name, which is Malik. His first name really is Yusef, so he goes by the middle name more than he does that first name and all of that. But as you were talking about this gamification theory, and we're thinking about like the early days of like just society and everything, and even gaming. I was actually thinking to myself, I was wondering, did they kind of like society tries to blame video games for what's going on in society? I'm wondering, did they blame like tag and tic-tac-toe for what Billy the Kid did?
Well, do you know what's interesting is playing games for every child, and I'm talking every species even, not even just humans, is training for war. That's what that's what games are. So if that's the case, then yeah, they probably did, because tag was for racing, any of those games. I mean, all of our sports, everything. And I mean, esports is just another extension of that. It's going to be about tactics, war, conflict and stuff like that, or dealing with conflict situationally. Either way, that's every game that's ever been created. Even little, kid animals play games that are basically drills for their predators or whatever it is. Go ahead.
We are naturally competitive. If there are two people on the planet, I've got to get to that food first.
Yeah,
I don't think that's just a human thing. That's a
that's
animal thing.
I was gonna say, I think that's
the same way.
I mean, just speaking how you're talking about everything. I mean, all beings pretty much.
Right.
But that's natural thing. But the games themselves, I mean, they are a simple target, because a lot of times, how we talked about even in our discussions earlier about the animal testing and not understanding what actually goes on, but drawing your own views about what goes on. It's the same thing in the gaming world. If you don't know the gaming world, but you see a game that may be violent, that's your first inclination that you're going to say it's because of that. And that makes a super simple target.
I think it's actually easier than that. Because TV had the same thing, and you had a lot of the censorship with TV. I think the bottom line is you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. TV and videos, games, and all of that kind of stuff show you situations that a lot of times you wouldn't necessarily be put in, regardless of whether it's because situationally you grew up in a different place or you don't rob cars in GTA. Regardless, you're then exposed to situations that you've never been exposed to. And I think that pushes people's comfort level in action in real life, where they're like, I saw that, I think I'll try it. That in the real world, without media, without games, or without TV, without movies, they probably wouldn't have even known it existed or even known that it happened. So a lot of times it is directly correlative. Yes, they 100% got that from that video game, from that movie, from that TV series. But does that mean that media ends, or does that mean that we've not taught our society how to deal with new information.
That's a good question. You got everything.
I think the last thing you said.
The last one. Because
before,
like GTA and stealing cars, they're not synonymous. Like not everyone does it. So it's,
And then if you take, for instance, how you talked about before media and all this other things, they were blaming witches.
Yep.
So what it comes down to is that people are looking for answers. And if they can find an easy answer, they'll ride with that easy answer.
Oh yeah, we like to have the excuse, whatever. Well, actually, that was the question I was getting ready to ask Siren, since she grew up in Oklahoma, and I was actually curious about this. I know that in an earlier episode before you became a regular and everything, Jacoby had shown us that there were some games out there that can actually teach us about farming and things of that nature. I want to know, is there a video game out there that will teach you about rodeos? Because I've always thought that rodeos were really cool, but I don't know any rodeo video games. So are there any rodeo video games out there if you don't want to like get mauled by the cow or have to do any of the other things that actually go on in a rodeo?
Believe it or not, rodeo video game is so far as I'm aware, the third video game that was ever created.
Wow.
The giant riding bull is technically manned by a video game. It was one of the first programs ever written as a video game. So yes, we actually have a very illustrious line of video games for country kids. Oddly enough, though, they're usually, I can't believe I'm going to say this, they're actually useful. They're more like training. I mean, we've got bull riding ones, we've got bronc riding. Then we also have, I mean, this is for just talking. Oh, hey. That's interesting. I mean physically though. So I would say that most of our games though are like, have you seen the truck driving rig? There's a truck driving video game right now that's huge. So we country kids do, and that one also has like a tractor feature and it has all kinds of stuff. So
I want to come back to what you just said earlier. So you're saying that the riding bull, because there's actually one of those here in Durham at a place called Shooters and everything. So that's actually manned by a video game mechanism.
It was originally. Now people do it by hand just to mess with people. But originally there was a program written for it that basically told it what to do, when to tilt, when to rotate, when to swivel, and all of that. And you could set it up to be like, bronc or bull or young buck or steer or whatever, because they all ride different, So yeah, actually, there are a lot of randomly country video games. Bass fishing. You remember the fishing one?
Duck hunt. Yeah.
Duck hunt. Yes.
I love duck hunt. I was really good at duck hunt.
It's so fun. The original first person shooter. Too fun.
Yes.
That dog, though. The dog.
While you're looking up those games and everything, Jacoby, did you ever tackle the bull over there at Shooters and everything? I never was bold enough to try it.
You better do it. Oh, you better do it.
I ain't jumping on no bull.
Okay, listen. I have family in Virginia, and the next time I drive through, the three of us are going to Shooters, and we are going to ride that bull.
I so I can start driving.
Get your bull riding on. Get it. We're gonna ride this bull. This is the best joke ever. A white girl, an Asian girl, a black man. At a mix, we all walk into a country bar. That's the beginning of the joke. I don't know where it ends, but it's gonna be good. Yeah, that's all us. The four of us.
The term is litty titty.
Oh, she's
It's gonna be lit.
That's good.
She was like litty. It's litty titty.
Litty titty.
Oh, that's like what my mom cusses. I love it. That was so cute.
That is awesome.
Clip that. I need you to clip that from now on. I want that to be my text tone. I think it's called Litty Titty every time I get a text. I think it's called Litty Titty. Yes.
You gotta do that. You gotta add the at the end of it.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Nothing but class. It's gonna be awesome. I'm here for it.
Yeah,
I can see you in the middle of I can see you literally in the middle of a meeting and that coming across your text.
That's exactly my very first big girl job as a defense contractor. I'm in a staff meeting, but I'm super paranoid, right? So I'm like flipping it silent, and I'd flipped it back and I didn't realize it. My ringtone was from Tommy Boy. So it goes off and it says, "Rectum, damn near killed him," twice in the middle of my first staff. And I'm just like, oh, shit, what is that? That's awkward. Like,
why is your phone on? Like,
what a weird ringtone, too. Jeez. And I'm just looking at this full bird colonel and, like his lieutenant colonel and shit. And I'm just like, hello, Commander. Like,
I love it.
See, you don't know me.
The great That is perfect.
That is perfect.
So
now we have sound bites. Now we have new sound bites.
Yep.
Yeah, you do have sound bites.
I'm gonna clip them because in the intro now it's gonna pop up Kara's name. Little Kitty.
I think it's called Liddy Kitty.
It's gotta be.
So on the gaming thing, I do have a random question for all of you because you we're all from different places.
Yeah.
Yes.
What in your background? So like I'm going to say that Kara and I are going to have similar backgrounds, even though I'm Asian, because we both grew up in white middle America families. In your background, what when you grew up and in your family and stuff, like what is the connotation with gaming or media or any of this? So like my family thinks that it's a cute little random thing. Like, I don't even know that half my family owns a computer, like an actual computer. You know what I mean? So like in my world, this is kind of self-sustaining to myself and my immediate family because I didn't grow up on video games. My whole family's not really into them. They're supportive. They just don't really, this is not their world. What about you guys? Like, where is your family with what you're doing with the media stuff, with games? Do you ever feel like we should grow up? I mean, really? Do you know what I mean? Or did we grow up? We're entrepreneurs and we're living our dream and we're making the things we love a career. And does that mean that we're the grown-ups and they're the kids that are following in line? You know what I mean? Because I want to push. The reason I'm asking this is we just did our proposal for 2 universities and a private school. And I realized like, I have no clue what these people feel about. I know that sounds dumb, but I know that they don't have the information about gaming. I understand that they don't understand esports. Getting them that literature is different, but understanding the connotation, where they sit with it, how they feel, the viability, the whole point of, Gamers Den that we're talking about, bringing it more into mainstream culture. I believe that is going to start with where their perspective is, what's their paradigm. And since we're all kind of from different places, you've got middle America with us and you've got kind of East Coast with you boys. What is the connotation in y'all's family and growing up and kind of in this career field?
Well, my folks actually were in the media at a very young age. They started doing it because they wanted to be a little bit, they didn't see enough of our representation going on. So the same thing.
What is our representation?
Representation within the minority culture. So they didn't see enough Black and brown images in terms of both news coverages, in terms of a number of other things that they were going for. And like I said, they're big jazz heads. So they definitely didn't hear enough jazz. So they decided to create a jazz station in rural North Carolina. So they created that jazz station. It was on for about 12 years. So I literally almost grew up in the media because I was a teenager at the time that station was on, way back in the ice ages of the 70s and 80s and all of that. So I grew up in the kind of media field and then went to work. Actually, that's where I first met Jatovi, because his aunt was actually the director of a cultural arts center that I'm a part of as well. So that's actually when I think we first connected and all of that. So definitely I've always had that connection to blues and stuff like that. And then in terms of the gaming world, my brothers actually use gaming now for a number of years on a couple of different levels. One, he's always had my nephews, because I've got 2 nephews, no kids of my own, but I've got 2 nephews that are now 11 and 12, about to be 12 and 13. And I remember them playing everything from Wii to current video games, even now, and everything when they were like little boys and everything. And now they're preteens and still very much involved with video games. I think on one of these past shows I mentioned to Jatovi that my nephew was showing me different video games that he was playing and asking me if I knew about this game or that game. Aww. And everything. So they definitely grew up in that video world. But what I was going to say is that my brother has also worked and still works in the field of with at-risk youth. And when we were living on our house on Cecil Street, which is a street near one of our HBCUs here in Durham, when we were living at that street, I remember he would sometimes bring kids over so they could literally be playing games, and they used the kind of video games almost as a bonding tool. So it became a bonding tool that he was able to use while he was trying to reach those kids and everything. I remember even one of those kids unfortunately got in legal trouble, but I remember that was actually one of the things that I remember Malik telling me was that he remembers that, I want to say the day or two before he got into this very dark place and got into that legal trouble and everything, he had literally been at the house playing video games with my brother and everything.
Oh, yeah. It is a great tool for that. So for you, what I heard was that it's completely accepted and almost expected in your family and in your world. Okay.
Yes.
What about you, Kara? The whole going live and having shows and doing the Insta and all of that, or is that something you kind of just see as marketing for your business?
Yeah, it's all marketing, and like pretty much my path that I'm forging and have been forging. It's definitely out of the box.
Right.
Out of the box and away from the rest of the universe. And
but it's good. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. It's weird because, it's very interesting because, the people who have always been there and they've been supportive, they're like, my grandma's like, I don't know what you do, but whatever it is, you light up when you talk about it. So I'm happy for you. And then, there are people that I've grown up with and they're like, I want to be supportive, but I don't really agree with your views. And I'm like, well, I'm not health coaching you. I'm not.
Yeah.
I was a client anyways. You'd be a shitty client. Like, so it's different. And like the whole marketing thing and getting out of the box, like that is new. I come from a line of strong women and we just go and do things. We get our degrees, we get our jobs, we make our own path, but this is completely different. And
this is you making your own path for sure.
Typically it's traditional, right? And then this is not at all. And it's very empowering and it's scary too, because I'm constantly just going against what I'm used to, but it doesn't mean that it necessarily was always comfortable too. Like what I was used to, I always felt like what am I doing here? I just feel like an alien, right? So this feels more at home. And so I just gravitate towards that. And again, the people who are really there and who understand, they're my little cheerleaders all the way. And I appreciate it. Like my brother, he is like, well, you're on a gaming show. And he's like, tell him I've been gaming for 40 years, like he's so excited.
No, that's okay. So from what I hear from you is that your family, it sounds to me very similar to me, but I'm just going to sum up, make sure. So from you, what I'm hearing is your family doesn't necessarily know or really care that much. You got onesie, twosies, but for the most part, they're supportive, even if they don't understand. It's not necessarily expected, like with Mark, but is definitely accepted, and you are supported. Correct?
Yeah. And what's interesting is that there is support there. And then those who aren't supportive, it's like that clear divide. It's like going back to, I don't understand it. So I'm going to be completely against it because I don't understand it. And they have their own thoughts about whatever. And I respect that. I completely do.
Yeah. I mean, everybody
like that divide. And I think that it's normal, especially, the whole idea of health coaching, it's new. It's been around for at least 10, 15 years, the and the mainstream, I guess, kind of climbing through. But the whole concept compared to other jobs, it's so new. And so there is that unknown,
Right.
I mean, your siren from Zito, that's completely new. That's not traditional. And that's amazing, right? But people are going to really be into it, or they're going to be like, I don't know what that is. I don't know, like,
no, 100%. That's totally
something, right? And so,
totally.
It's like, definitely a divide, which is fine.
Yeah. How about you, Jatovi? How about you in your life and growing up and your family and friends and support and whatnot? I mean, is the media thing something that they eat up, or like us? Is it something they just kind of support, or is it something they expect?
I mean, I guess it's more so. I mean, my family and all always been supportive. So growing up, for me, I mean, in the gaming world, we started out with like the little RCA pad where it was basically Pong plus a couple pixels. Then we had the Atari. So I mean,
Atari.
They were always supportive, and kept it. I'm in a family of four, or four kids, where I'm the third child. Okay. Well, of course, the parents and the family supported. I'm still the third child, the forgotten child.
But I'm the middle child too.
Like a true middle child.
Yeah.
Are you a middle child too?
No, but I just know middle children when I hear them. Like, I'm forgotten again.
Yep, the forgotten child. But no, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it was always supported in terms of the media side of things. My sister and I went into theater. My brother, I was running track since I was 5 up until I was roughly about 18. And so being in the spotlight in that, I was kind of pushed into the spotlight by my father because he wanted to make sure that I wouldn't shy away from that. So that kind of helped, I guess, being able to speak in front of people, because I wasn't going to. I really wasn't. And it helped also my sister, my younger sister. My older brother got to do some speaking stuff, but he never really was pushed into the spotlight as much as I was. Same thing with my older sister. So, but either way, in terms of the entrepreneurial side and being out in the media, it wasn't, I guess, expected, but it was all fully supported. So even now, my father is trying to get me to get a new microphone. That's why I was looking at your Nano.
Yes, and the Nano is awesome, and it's cheaper.
So my birthday just passed, and that's what he wanted me to do. Okay, for your birthday, go and get you
a mic,
something for your show. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I mean, my parents have always been supportive. My sister helped me learn more about Clubhouse the other day, so now I'm on Clubhouse.
I'm scared of you. You go on Clubhouse, but you gotta have a certain phone to get on Clubhouse. I don't have that phone.
Well, I had to do it on the iPad because I am still an Android man.
I don't know what your Google is.
How did you do it on an iPad? You got it on your computer instead of on the phone.
Well, it's an app.
Yeah, it's an app. It's just an app for the iPad or for the Apple devices right now.
Any Apple device. So it can be an Apple device that's on.
What's it do?
It's just another social media platform. That's all it really is.
It's only for Apple. People can create rooms and just start talking, and then you talk, and then it can be like hours and hours and hours, and people can just pick up where you left off and just talk.
Yep. Think of it like radio. Think of it like a seminar, basically. You're going into a giant seminar. You have tons of rooms. You can go.
But the thing that people have said that they love about it is the fact that you can literally, I mean, everybody wants to spy on the entertainers of the world, and they say that that's one of the most open sources that's ever been out there. There might have been others that were as open, but that's what I've always heard people say that they like about that, is that you can literally go into Clubhouse and you may stumble across Vince Vaughn or somebody like that, or you may stumble across Tom Cruise or somebody along those lines. So they're saying that a lot of famous people are using it, but it's in that open conversation, so you might recognize their voice, and they may even tell you that that's who they are, but they have a little sense of anonymity as well. So because you don't necessarily know how to reach them, you're just hearing their voice and whatever their passion is about and everything. So
it is.
Can you shout out to Little John?
I mean, actually, I think he is on Clubhouse. I did start following MC Hammer, but
what?
It's the.
Can we get on our show?
So you have to get an invite to get onto Clubhouse.
So like Discord?
No. Discord is open to everybody, so you can technically join a server. Yeah. You can't join anything on Clubhouse until you get an invite. That's the way it's set up for right now. Mm-hmm. But once you get the invite, like I said, it's like a seminar. You have different rooms. You sit there and listen. People can invite you to the stage if you want to talk. Like last night, I got invited. I didn't talk. I was in the middle of playing a game while I was listening. So I was like,
priorities.
Yeah, but it's a neat networking tool because there are some interesting individuals on there that are can help you do particular things. I've only been on there for roughly about a week now, but I'm just learning the ins and outs of it before I really start participating and creating the rooms. And like I said, I got to get you guys on there so we can start a Gamers Den Clubhouse, and then people join that. On that tangent, getting back to it, yeah, I mean, my parents and the whole family have all been pretty supportive. It's still a tough go, but yeah, it's been pretty supportive.
And Toby, one of the interesting things that I find about your family, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very much and my family is somewhat that way as well, but it's very much an entrepreneurial family. Now, there may be different types of entrepreneurship. Like I would argue that you and your sister are more on the creative side of entrepreneurship, whereas your dentist sister and your brother are more on the more traditional side of business entrepreneurship.
Yep. So my older brother, he went into banking. He also tried to start doing this, selling these books where he was working with a couple of different partners where they started publicizing different Black-owned businesses throughout the area. There's one in Chicago. There's one in, they do different major cities, major metropolitan areas.
Was that the Black Pages?
Huh?
Was that the Black Pages?
It wasn't the Black Pages.
Oh, that's witty. I like that name.
I cannot remember the name of it right now, but yeah, I had to go to his function where he would sit there and try and sell the whole topic to different other agencies and stuff that are all local. It was an interesting thing. But yeah, my sister started her dental office with it, and that was, again, my father's pushing her to do that. My mom was always my father was the one that wanted us to be out there and do everything. And when we always fell, it was my mom for the comfort. And my mom would always also try and push out because my mom was a teacher. My father worked at EPA. He was a training officer there. So it's all about, okay, well, we got to. And then my mom was like, okay, well, let's figure out a way to make things happen. And, so you don't drive yourself crazy.
They sound amazing. Can they be on the Gamers Den too?
Well, I mean,
let's bring the parents in. Hello?
We'll do a parent show one time. Yeah, we got to do a parent show.
A parent show. All right.
Like the shaking of the head. I'm a little nervous.
You don't want my parents.
I want to meet your parents, Siren. That would
They're Irish farmers. They're just going to sit here and be like, "What's looking at me? Who are you?"
See,
what am I doing? What's going on?
My last name is McDuffie.
That will be my family. Be like, do I need to tell them where I live? If I tell them where I live, will that work? No, please.
It'll be fun. We'll do it.
Oh my God.
I don't have parents. I'm sorry. Can't put them on the show.
Can't put them on the show?
Because I don't have them. I lost them before. I butted off. I don't want them on, please. Oh God. Trust me, you guys don't either.
Oh, Since like last week, I only made one commercial. This week I made two, so we got some more news.
More news. Good.
Oh, can I do have to go though too. So this would be a perfect segue.
See, that's what I was going for.
Segue.
Yes. So,
Here's the next part.
Thank you, Jacoby, for another amazing show. And thank you, Siren and Mark Lee. You guys are amazing. I love you all.
And make sure you tell everybody where we can find you, because you got to watch the commercial before you can leave.
Oh, okay. Deep End Roots Health Coaching. You can find me on Instagram. Come bother me. It won't be a bother. It'll be a joy.
Your health coach. Come bother me.
It'll be amazing.
All right.
I'm ready.
Commercial, and see you later, Kara.
Bye.
See you, Kara.
World of Warcraft's first player voted mount is a big old tree you can get for free. Last year Blizzard held a poll to determine what sort of ride World of Warcraft players wanted as a special community mount. We chose the Wandering Ancient, and now that choice has borne fruit, or in this case, a whole damn tree, free now for everyone who owns the Shadowlands expansion.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge is a brand new old-school beat-em-up. Quick, name a memorable modern Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. It's okay if you can't, those turtle teens peaked during the age of the 4-player side-scrolling beat-em-up. Which is why it's so exciting that Dotemu and Tribute Games have teamed up to make a completely new old game for PCs and consoles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
Really makes you think.
Electronic Arts investigating claims an employee has been selling rare items. Electronic Arts makes most of its FIFA money from the game's Ultimate Team mode, where fans spend real money in attempts to unlock elite players. Today, it's being alleged that these lucrative items are being sold privately to users by employees within EA Sports.
Oh, he's stealing!
Dozens of Rust servers wiped out in data center fire. A fire that broke out overnight in Strasbourg, France destroyed one of OVCloud's data centers and damaged a second, Reuters reports. The French government and Centre Pompidou, which houses a public information library and modern art museum, had the data affected by the fires, as did Facepunch Studios, maker of the online survival game Rust.
Don't click on those Resident Evil Village early access emails. Lot of people want to play the game with the big lady. And scammers know this, so fake emails have been circulating inviting players to an early access beta, which doesn't actually exist. Enough emails that Capcom has sent out a warning email of its own.
My man!
I have too much fun making those.
Yeah, you have way too much fun doing that. And then the monkeys and everything else, those monkeys are just over there having a good old time.
I have an irrational fear of monkeys. The way people are about spiders, that's the way I am about monkeys. I didn't see most of that. I was like looking away, just trying to hear the audio. So I'm not like, you don't come back and I'm like,
what is it about monkeys that you don't like?
They're just little people without souls and weird hands, and I don't like it.
Okay. But some of them are bigger than people. Like the gorillas.
Mm-mm. Nope.
No monkeys at all. It doesn't matter the size of the monkey.
They're so cute. You can put them in a diaper. Well, that's kind of rude.
Nope.
So we went on a cruise, and there was I forgot where the Monkey Island is, or it was one of the Caribbean islands. And yeah, people would walk around with the little bitty monkeys in little diapers or different outfits. It was a little cool.
No, but we can change the subject.
Okay.
I hate them. I hate them so much. They scare the shit out of me. I don't like them. Sorry, I'm like sweaty and trying to hold back tears at this point. I hate them so much.
Now, is it just those, or are there any other animals that you don't like? Just so I know not to mention those animals.
Monkeys, and I don't know when that happened. I haven't always been afraid of them. It's super weird, but it's super irrational. It just happened. Like my whole body, I'm sweating everywhere. Like I have no idea what's going on. I hate them. I hate them.
So then I'm gonna leave it alone because I don't want to make Siren mad because she's a wonderful person and everything. So I'm thinking that whenever your husband wants to just like stop the conversation, all he has to do is say that word, and the conversation
pretty much.
ends.
Oh, pretty much. Or pictures. If I get in trouble, he'll send them. He'll text them to me. I'm like, he's like, yeah, there you go.
That's right. Messed up. Hilarious. That's so messed up.
I know. I do it too. I do it to him though. We fuck with each other. We're evil.
I gotta hang out with your husband.
So is there an animal that you get to do the opposite with him? Does he not like tigers, or you get to like ship him an animal?
Oh no, his thing is with food. So I send him pictures of people with like fingers in food, or food on their hands, or sharing a cup. He hates that. Like the idea of sharing food freaks him out. So I'll send him pictures like that. And then I don't feel bad at all. But he's like, why? Why are they taking a bite out of the same burger on the same side? I'm like, who knows? Who knows? Look deeper into the picture, like.
So was it that? So during the Super Bowl, I think it was what, avocados had the commercial where people digging their hands in the avocado bowl.
Did they?
I think it was avocados from Mexico.
I didn't torrent the Super Bowl, so I didn't get to see any of the commercials because I torrented it.
The only reason I watch it is because of the commercials.
I know. I love the commercials.
I always do a review of every commercial. I got to give it an actual rating of A.
Wait a minute. How did you miss the entire Super Bowl?
No, I watched the Super Bowl.
Yeah, she watched it.
I just didn't. I maybe illegally streamed it. I possibly illegally streamed it, so that meant because I didn't have it on a network, I only got to see the game.
Gotcha.
Not the like commercials. We could just cut this out. Let's cut out the part where I'm talking about any of that.
We're talking possibly a soup in a bowl.
Yes, soup in a bowl. That thing.
Soup in a bowl. The soup in the bowl part. We know about that soup in the bowl.
Yeah,
all of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of, and just changing the topic since we're on that. Did you hear about the fact that Duke they were actually winning, but now they're gonna have to like not play anymore because they've actually had an incident. So Duke is they just withdrew from the tournament because of a COVID incident.
Really?
March Madness?
Yes. Well, not March Madness, but the ACC tournament.
No fucking way.
They really had a COVID incident?
Yes.
Like the whole team? It would have to be, or something big like that, right?
No, I mean, you get one or two people and you're done. Because that's the way.
Really?
Yeah. So the NCAA had announced that
They're
that's
shutting it all down.
No, where if they're going to have some alternate teams. This is kind of crazy how they're doing it, but they're going to have alternate teams. And if a team gets, or if one team has to shut it down, they're going to continue on the tournament. However, that alternate
the second team
is going to take the place. So, for example, Gonzaga is going in as a number one seed, hands down.
Right.
If Gonzaga has to pull out, they will have an alternate team replace them for the rest of the tournament.
What?
Yep.
That's brilliant and awesomely weird. I know, right? You better hope they're good. So the alternate team must practice.
The alternate team could be like a horrible team.
Yeah.
Yep. So, say for instance, you're a number 8 team or a number 8 seed, and you now have to play Gonzaga. But oh no, Gonzaga has to, be pulled. And
that'd be awesome. You're like, let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do it. I'm playing the alternate team. B-string, baby.
but Jatovi, how is this going to work? Because one of the biggest things it didn't happen last year because of COVID, but one of the biggest sports events is the tournament pool. How are you going to even manage to predict a tournament pool where you got to predict not just only who's going to win the game, but who's going to be the alternate?
Yeah, what do you do about that?
There's nothing you can do. You literally, there is no possible way that you're going to put money down.
Yeah, that's on a spread that it could be a totally different team. Screw that. I'm out.
Yeah. I'm not paying any money for that spread.
Could you imagine trying to make the odds on that? Like being the bookie sitting there like, is it 2-1 or 17-4 or I don't know.
Oh, and Jacoby, speaking of that, because I just pulled up the article and everything, but Duke had received a significant portion of the ACC tournament wagers at something called Bet MGM. I'm thinking the MGM over there in Vegas, but they just said that because COVID is knocking the Blue Devils out of the ACC tournament, Bet MGM is going to refund all bets on Duke to win the ACC tournament. So if you bet on Duke, your money is coming back to you.
Oh shit!
Could you imagine
They just said that
bookie?
Duke received 32% of the money wagered on the ACC tournament, so they're getting ready to give up 32% of the money.
32% was on Duke.
Yes.
Could you imagine that bookie's face?
Oh, oh my gosh! Oh my god! Way to be MGM though. Damn.
I mean, I give him that. But you know, the first thing that bookie did was, you said what?
Yeah. I'm out. Right?
Deuces.
Right? Holy crap. This is definitely not video games, but damn, this is gaming. Does that count?
I mean, it is. It you know, there is gambling in the esports world.
What was that actually on that whole commercial thing? There was something that you put on there about real money trading.
Yeah.
That in WoW? Is that right?
No. So
in which game? And then they're getting kicked out. Like, so what is real money trading in the game? How is that any different than wagered games?
So you know how in Rocket League you can trade items.
I haven't played Rocket League yet.
Oh, so in Rocket League,
sorry,
it's a fun game. You gotta play Rocket League. It's awesome.
I'm all in Overwatch right now. I'm so deep.
See, I need to go ahead and jump on and play some Overwatch.
Boo, I'm telling you, we're at like 8 to 10 hours a day right now.
Really?
I'm deep. It's bad.
Yeah, I'm starting to get that way with Rocket League because it's so the thing about Rocket League is you can jump in and jump out and you don't have any consequences. And that's the beautiful thing about it. What makes it
so is Overwatch.
Well,
you can get into a 5-minute game and then be done.
No. So in Overwatch, you play that full 5 minutes.
Siren, I want to just interrupt for a second while y'all get into this Overwatch and Rocket League debate and everything. But I do have a question for y'all, which is I know is one of the big arguments that goes on in gaming and everything. And Jacoby, I've been up late, and I know I'm sometimes doing crazy media work and everything, but I've seen you up late playing basketball and everything of that nature. So I know one of the critiques that people have about video games is that it takes too much of your time away from the rest of your life. So, like, when do you even have quality time with your wife and husband, in your case, Siren, or even get to cook? Because, like I said, the way y'all describe the games, it doesn't happen. Y'all are with the games 24/7 and not really spending that much time with the rest of the family. So,
sleep is overrated. Sleep is overrated.
It's usually at night. I sleep very little. I get up with the kids in the morning, get the breakfast done. They're off to school. I got about 4 hours of gaming, and then I've got another probably 2 hours of prep for stream and stuff like that. They get home, get homework done and all of that. Dinner is usually started sometime during the day, and I just let it sit all day, and then I only have to feed me at lunch, and then dinner's all together as a family, then streaming, bedtime, then I'm on the game till probably midnight or 2 in the morning. Get up and do it all over again at 6 a.m. But 4 or 5 hours of sleep is a full night's sleep, technically.
And for me, it's roughly about the same thing. I mean, like for right now, the kids are outside playing. It's a beautiful day. I mean, I've got a 10 and a 7-year-old that are about to be 11 and 8. So they can stay outside, hang out. I don't have to worry about them too much.
You guys your kids aren't at school, are they? They're home.
Yep, we're home. So and that's why I take the dog to camp, because I'm able to, do actual work, because the kids, they're pretty self-sufficient. They can do their own thing.
So I guess the question I'm asking, and this is just me asking as, the old man in the crowd and everything, being in the late 50s and everything, and still being, both of y'all have your, in your case, Jacoby, your wife, and in your case, a husband and everything. But is it possible to be involved in the gaming world and still be single and dating? Because it seems to me like the two almost go against each other.
So the misconception
they
is
do
that,
kind of. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So the misconception is that gaming, yes, yeah, you can have people that are so addicted to games that only focus on the games here, there, and everywhere. But there are also individuals, the majority of individuals aren't so addicted that they don't live a life. For example, there's a kid, matter of fact, he's watching the stream right now. He goes by Captain K 007. Phenomenal Rocket League player. I know he plays a lot, but he just said on the stream that he's at the pool right now.
Mm.
So you have that ability. Gamers, a lot of gamers have the ability to manage that. Even though, Siren and I talk about how, okay, well, we'll play the game here, there, in the middle of the night and all this other stuff. I mean, I'm getting text asking if we're going to go, when we're going to the beach, let's schedule this and other stuff, other places that we can go. And a single individual does the same. I don't know if Captain K is single or not. Same thing. There's a kid at UNC Charlotte named Daffy. He plays with his teammate named Don. They're in school. They're in college. I don't know if they're single or dating, but they are phenomenal. I mean, that team is phenomenal to watch. If you want to learn how to play Rocket League at the that supersonic legend status, watch those guys. But to get to that status, you have to put in a lot of time and effort. But also, you're in college, so you have to put a lot of time and effort there. So it's
I don't know. I think the whole difference isn't about being single and stuff. I think it's about age, because I think you're honestly asking the wrong people. Jatovia and I probably are on that cusp of we have to cut it out, carve out time. But these kids, like my oldest is 17. Mm-hmm. So his college friends and all of that. I mean, they grew up playing it. Like, he's not obsessed. He lives his life, but at the same time, it's but hiccups. It's like worked into their schedule or something. Okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same way. I remember my mom telling me when she was a teenager, getting in trouble by her mom because she was wasting her whole day on the phone when the telephone became a thing in the houses and stuff. And she's like, she told me, I think that's how I see Nolan playing game. Oh, my son's name. Sorry. That's how I see him playing games, is the same way I saw your mom, playing or being on the phone. So I think that it becomes so integrated into your life when you're generationally exposed to it young, that the kids that are single right now, they already know how to manage that. Like, everybody plays games. If you're 25 and below, you've played a video game of some kind somewhere, and you've got your favorites. That isn't the case with everyone my age at 40. There's plenty of people at 40 that haven't played anything, really.
And I guess the other thing that might be interesting, because I know one of the things that we used to love doing and still love doing it when folks aren't, dealing with different health issues and things of that nature, and definitely COVID. But I know definitely whenever we had family gatherings, we would oftentimes play like spinners, which is almost kind of like dominoes, or we play taboo, or we play a lot of those board games. But if you were involved in a social situation, a dating situation, you would bring those people in to play those same games in the family environment. So I imagine the same thing is happening with video games, where people are bringing their people in and they're involved in the video game, and it's part of the date, for lack of a better term.
It is, yeah, a lot of times, and that's oddly enough, it's a good way to get to know someone. So, like, I have 2 older brothers, 2 younger brothers, and I'm right in the middle. My younger brothers, that's actually how they would get to know girls. They would say, "Hey, come play Overwatch. I want you to be support," or "I play support. You're going to play DP." And then it's like, okay, that bitch is a psycho. She or that, it sounds weird, but not necessarily maybe to find dates, but to get to know people. Oh, totally. Gaming is the best way to do that, I think. Hello.
Hi.
You got a new guest.
Yeah, John, I saw you pop in. I remember Ankit said that you were joining us today. I figured this would be a great conversation for you to jump into, because Mark asked a great question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can speak to what you said, Siren. I always tell my parents that, growing up for them, they would socialize by talking on the phone. And for our generation, talking on the phone is playing video games and chatting over Discord or whatever your voice communication is. So, you're preaching to the choir on that one for sure.
Yeah. I'll be honest, like the kids' ability to socialize right now through the video games has been, I think, probably one of the biggest factors in their sanity through this whole thing. Because I think when you're that young and you just accept that the world is what it is, and you accept that parents know what they're doing, when you start seeing something that is global and everyone's like, shit, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. The house is on fire. That's very scary, I think, for them. And then we took away their coping mechanism. We took away school and recess and friends and the ability to get out of the house. At least now the video game, I think that's why it's taken such a big toll, but at least now parents get more that whole social aspect, I think, which they didn't necessarily before. Sorry.
Wonderful. So, John, tell us a little bit about yourself. I see Ankit's here as well, but I was going to learn more about who John is. I've met Siren a couple of times, and I'm kind of the sidekick to Jacoby, whose real show this is and everything.
But yes, John, I guess now we're at a good time. You go ahead and tell everybody who you are, everything about you, because I don't want it. I don't think Ankit could introduce you better than I could, and I don't think I could introduce you better than you could. So
I'm sure both of you would do a fantastic job, but I'm John. I'm the founder and CEO of Zelgor. I founded this company while I was in college out of my passion for games, in particular mobile gaming. I don't know what games you all played originally when you were growing up to sort of fall in love with games. But for me, it was Pokemon on the Game Boy, and I was obsessed with Pokemon. I played it fanatically growing up. I was a commuter student. I grew up about an hour away from where I went to school. So that was an hour to and from school each day playing my Game Boy. And then you fast forward to 2008, the iPhone comes out. I'm super excited. I'm in high school now because I'm like, oh man, it's a cell phone and a Game Boy in one device. Yes. And the games start coming out on mobile, and they are, I will say, shockingly simple. It's things like flicking a paper ball into a trash can or cutting rope or slicing fruit. And that sort of, it always stuck with me because I was like, oh man, there's so much, gaming potential in your cell phone, yet we're only really scratching the surface of what's possible. So that's what sort of inspired me to throw my hat into the ring and start a company that's trying to build bigger and better mobile games. And, we like to tell people that we're building the next level of interactive entertainment, and it's all powered by our army of rambunctious aliens called noobs that you can see on the screen there. That's our website.
Yes, bruh, that's money.
I love that. What do you say to folks that, because this is my big complaint, I love definitely the games on your phone, but unfortunately, I've just got a very, it is a smartphone, but it's a basic smartphone. It's not a super smartphone. And sometimes I'm sitting there going like, all right, I got that game. Like I got Among Us because Jacoby told me to get it. I'm definitely a fan of Words with Friends, and I've gotten a couple of other games and everything. And then when I'm ready to download the next game, my phone is telling me, nope, don't have enough memory. You're going to have to like give it up one of these games or another. So how do you deal with folks that have that issue where, you want to download every game underneath the sun, but unfortunately you can't?
Well, it's funny, Mark, because that is, a problem for plenty of people, making sure that you've got a phone that can handle, all of your gaming needs. But even still, that phone that you're describing is still light years beyond the technology in your Game Boy, from over 20 years ago. Right. So, we certainly can't, upgrade everybody's phones for them all at once, but we can at the very least, build on a lot of the stuff that we've learned over the years from handheld games and even, a not so smart or not so sophisticated smartphone can still do some amazing things from a gaming standpoint. So it's really all about, understanding what it is that makes mobile games great, what about it, gives them the chance to become massively successful. And then building an experience that's, very accessible, very discoverable so that people with all sorts of different phones, capabilities, processing power, memory, things like that, just making your game as accessible as possible for all people of all shapes and sizes or phone types.
So, just really quick. So my name is Siren. Hello. I work at Cedo Gaming, and we are a competitive esports tournament coordinator. I always screw it up every single time. Sorry about that. Which is sad because I'm the marketing person, but go figure. We all of the monsters that work there all have our own little genres, and like we've got Leviathan, he's Call of Duty. We've got Moby Dick, he's Fortnite. I'm the mobile gamer, so I'm super excited about this. Also, that all out of the way. Right now, what I've noticed is a lot of the mobile gamings are actually moving off of data on your phone and onto like cloud, where you're logging in, it loads up, and then you're actually playing on the server as opposed to on your phone. Is that something that I mean, that's what Mark is talking about, right? Where it's too much data in the game, but are you guys moving more towards that where the mobile games themselves are really only houses or interfaces to a bigger server to cut down on that? Or is that something that it just depends on the game or?
Yeah, I think every game is different, but overall, in general, that is our goal, right? To make it as easy as possible and less taxing on your phone. We've been working with a company called Beamable, formerly Disruptor Beam, who's been helping us build a lot of that technology and figure out the way that we can, put most of that data on the cloud and minimize the impact on your phone as much as possible. Because, I remember when Pokemon Go came out, right? Like everyone was super pumped and super excited about that, but like you needed to be connected to Wi-Fi in order to download
Right.
it. It would take a super long time. And obviously that didn't hinder their success too much. But, if you're a company like us where, we're trying to build our own unique IP from scratch and trying to build an organic following around that, we need to make it as easy as possible for you to download our games and play them. So
You want to
as a
create
startup-
a unique IP?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what the
That's
noobs are all about.
That's awesome, bruh. I love it. Sorry. I like coding. I did old school coding back in the day. So I think it's really cool. Continue. Sorry.
No, awesome. Yeah. I'm happy to, pop up my screen and show you a little bit or show you the noobs to some extent.
I would love that.
Yeah, we'd love to see that. Definitely would love to see
In
that.
fact, I would like to ask a question to all the people that whenever we play a game and suppose Jetovi, he plays like a game for 4 hours and then he still wants to play, but it's like that 4 hours is too much. Now, can we take an interval and then coming back to the same game after a good nap? Is it possible, or is it? We have to start from fresh?
I do it all the time. You kidding me? That's every day. Go to bed, wake up, play another game. Yeah.
I'm not talking about another game. I'm talking about the same game. Same game.
Can you put pause on the game? Is what Ankit is asking.
Gotcha.
So, are you talking about the noobs game or just any game in general? Because one of the cool things that, for example, that's one of the big sales pitches for the Xbox Series X because of them picking up right where you left off a lot faster than anybody else.
That's what I'm talking about. Because nowadays it's more about lifestyle games and people are connected to that game. It's not about level, but the feel of that game basically. So I wanted to be in the same zone, maybe after the break as well.
But also, that's all due to a lot to the programmer because they can put up a save spot in that zone, and so you can respawn back where you left out of.
I also think it matters what the OS is. The interface itself is going to matter whether it can actually keep that position, that save space or not, or how it connects to the server will probably matter too.
That, and also depending on the game, because Dark Souls was unforgiving. Good gosh.
Dark Souls is the worst.
What do you expect from a game named Dark Souls?
I have lost years off the end of my life. I'll open it back up. I was 3 days. 3 days of progress. Just
you gotta start over. The whole death part. I hated it. I hated it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So, John, I was going to come back to my original question that I was talking to when you popped on and everything, which is how the gaming industry has impacted or not impacted your social life. That's part of what I was talking to Siren and to Toby about, but also how it's even dealing with it. Because you mentioned that you were a big fan of Pokemon, and I remember that definitely the Pokemon Go's was very big before COVID, and everybody was doing these contests all over the cities. But I imagine those aren't happening now because of the COVID protocols and all of that. So I was just wondering how the industry is being impacted and also how it's impacting your own social life.
I met him.
Absolutely. It's a great question. Nolan is a great guy, obviously coined the expression back in the 60s. All the best games are easy to learn and difficult to master. And of course, mobile more than any other platform, I feel like really sort of leans into that easy to learn. And, we're talking about, games and save progress and, your ability to sort of put them down and pick them back up. I think that's part of what makes mobile gaming so great, right? Is that we're always looking for games that we're playing either with divided attention or, we're playing it on our commute and something like that. So the ability to, put it down when you need to and pick it back up whenever you want is critical to, the game design and the game structure. And, it's all part of, what we talk about internally all the time, which is, what are the ingredients that you need to build like a massively successful game, right? And that doesn't mean that every massively successful game has all these three things, but in order for us to be successful, we feel like, all of our games need to, have these three things in mind, right? You talk about unique feel, something about your game needs to feel different than other games. Among Us did a great job of taking the traditional mafia party game and adding, an interface on top of it that's fun, giving it a story. And the, Among Us characters give it that sort of unique feel. You need excellent game structure, right? Your game needs to be difficult to learn it needs to be easy to learn and difficult to master, right? Yeah. So that you can get into it right away. But you also, you quickly get to that point where you encounter a little bit of resistance. And Jane McGonigal was a professor at UC Berkeley, and she gave a TED Talk back in 2010 talking about epic wins and the power of games to build a better world. And she talks about, an epic win is achieving something just on the cusp of your ability to achieve it. And when you break through that barrier and you accomplish that goal, you're like, oh man, this is amazing. This is so motivating. And then right when that feeling starts to wear off, boom, you're confronted with sort of your next seemingly impossible challenge. And so
that's what we were talking about earlier, boys, with the gamification psychology.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that, all the best games are, it's both an art and a science, right? You've got to figure out what about your game creates that, unique engagement, gets me excited. What is that hook that gets me in right away? But then what's going to keep me coming back for more? What's going to keep me logging in every day for, days, weeks, months, years? And, the third piece of that, right, is, how does your game, you've got your game structure, right? It's a great game. It's well designed. It's got something about it that feels unique. And then it speaks to the third part, which is what all of you have been talking about. How do you make that game discoverable? How do you build community? How does your game bring people together? How easy is it to bring people into your game? Because that's a big part of how we socialize these days, right? Especially with the pandemic, we've seen, record-setting downloads and engagement, particularly in mobile, but I think across the video games industry in general. So the longer we've all been forced inside and forced to stay away from each other, the more time we're spending interacting and socializing digitally. And so if you want to build a game that can really take off, like Among Us, right, you need to have those systems in there that make your game as easy as possible to share with your friends and bring your friends into it. So, for us, we built obviously an incredible team. Myself, I was the founder, or I am the founder of the company, and I started the company out of a program called Draper University. I don't know if all of you heard of Tim Draper or know who he is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right, there we go. So he's a big believer in Bitcoin above all else. He's like one of the world's largest holders of Bitcoin. And he started this program called Draper University. It's all about, saving the world and creating this next wave of superheroes to solve, all of these seemingly impossible problems. And so coming out of Draper University with this idea of building a virtual universe where, we could build an experience on our phones that would enable you to engage with the real world. I was, like I said, I'm a big fan of, not only building great mobile games, but building games that actually leverage the new technology in your phone. It's not just about, building games that are up to what the phone is currently capable of, but, leveraging all of this new existing technology. That was part of what made Pokemon Go so cool, right? Was that it used your GPS and it loaded your front camera lens so you could catch Pokemon in the real world. So Tim was the first person who sort of gave us this opportunity to go out and recruit all of these amazing people. We've got Phil Fogerite, who worked on Warner Brothers. He's worked on The Sims, The Incredible Hulk, Dungeons and Dragons Online. We've got Will Teixeira, our lead engineer. He's also worked at Warner Brothers, worked on Dungeons and Dragons Online. He's the lead engineer at Other Side Entertainment. We've got Andres Gonzalez, who's our lead designer. He was the lead combat designer on BioShock Infinite, which I'm sure you are all familiar with. Highly, highly successful. And so these guys are incredible and have a tremendous amount of experience in building these massively successful franchises on console and PC. And so we're trying to take all that experience and harness it into, these sort of small, easily digestible, but fun and organic mobile games. And so we've been able to recruit an amazing team to build games around our Noobs IP, and obviously an incredible team of investors and advisors. In addition to Tim, we've got guys like Nolan Bushnell, of course, Kai Wong, the co-creator of Guitar Hero. And we've had over 750 people now who have joined them by joining our community seed round, as we've dubbed it, which is just a group of, whether they're gamers or angels investors or retail investors, really anyone who wants to share in the success and help us build the Noobs into an IP that can take over the world. People have been doing that and joining us through invest.zelgor.com. But the question is, right, like, what is it that they're investing in? What is it that we're actually doing? Well, we are, like I said, we're building our own unique IP, an alien race called the Noobs, and they are highly rambunctious characters. They've got these sort of balloon-shaped heads. Their skin is very absorbent, so when it comes in contact with anything water-based, or in their case, fruit-based, their heads inflate. Eventually, they get so top-heavy, they fall over, they can't get back up again. And we're trying to build an entire virtual universe around these characters. And so the Noobs, they're all about flying around the universe, looking for new home planets, looking for a new place to live. And so they all pile into their spaceships, they zip around, scanning planet to planet, looking for signs of other Noobs and other places that might be habitable to them. So we've got 2 games currently in development around our Noobs IP. We've got Noobs in Space, which is the first game we're going to launch, and Noob Tubes. And each of those games sort of tell a different perspective of the Noobs, introduce you to a new piece of their story and their backstory. And so, Siren, you asked me about the Noobs. We're creating a unique IP. That is the Noobs themselves, right? That's our unique feel. That's what we're trying to build out as a brand, have it turn into the next Angry Birds, because if we can, build that type of excitement and engagement around the Noobs, we're going to be able to do all sorts of different amazing things. So that's at a high level what we're up to. And then, I'm happy to dive into each game, show off a little bit of Noob Space, or really answer any questions that anyone has about the Noobs. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Noobs in Space. I'm glad you brought that one up, because I was going to ask about the separate games themselves. Gameplay-wise, what exactly are you doing gameplay-wise?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I'll do you one better. So Noobs in Space, right? It's all about scanning these planets, and the gameplay, right, is very simple, very easy to learn. All you have to do is tap the screen to change directions. And so I'll bring up this quick little video. So what I'm about to show you is a video of a noob traveling into what we call deep space. And so in deep space, you're a captain of a noob mothership, right? And you're sort of guiding this noob through space as they try to scan as many planets as possible before their ship gets hit by an asteroid and blows up. So you'll get to see a little bit of everything, right? We're about to launch this noob into deep space, and this is all pre-alpha footage, so we're still developing all of the UI and things like that. But it's very simple. All you're doing, tap the screen, avoid the asteroids, right? Very simple, very easy to pick up. And all I'm just trying to do is make my way completely around the planet. And then boom, scan 1 complete. And then I get to blast off onto the next planet and scan the next one. And so, originally, it starts out with these sort of simple asteroids, but then you start to encounter, some increasingly difficult hazards like this laser beams and other sort of wacky creatures that you encounter throughout the solar system. So we've got sort of 2 game modes, right? We've got this deep space mode, which is all about getting as far as you can into space and setting a high score. And we've got a whole leaderboard system that I can show you in a minute once my slideshow starts engaging with me. Here we go. So, we've got a whole leaderboard system built into here, right? About, how far you can take your noob into space, who can travel the furthest, who can get to the other side of deep space. And it's a great place for players to not only demonstrate their skills, but compete against each other. We enable players to post videos of what they're doing online. So you can say, hey, look, here's my clip of beating, this, level 17 or however far you get into deep space, but, posting GIFs as well. And then of course, unlocking cool cosmetics for your ship, for your noob, and then having that displayed on the leaderboard. So not only can you show off, how far you got into deep space, but you can also show off the cool cosmetics that you have. So, sort of simple gameplay there, right? All you have to do is tap the screen to change directions. And then, we've got, this sort of more competitive game mode, like I said, which is just about who can get the furthest. And eventually we'll build out things like player versus player, where we'll both be on the same deep space run at the same time, right? And can see who can get the furthest. We can do sort of an asynchronous style pass and play, right? Where I can go and see how far I get in deep space and then challenge you to get further. But then we also have a more casual mode, right? For the people who are looking to just sort of pick up the game every once in a while and then put it down when they have free time or when they're busy, I should say. And that's where you really get to sort of explore the universe of noobs and travel from solar system to solar system, planet to planet, scanning different planets one at a time. And that's where you really get to meet our things like, we've got sort of underwater themes, we've got ice themes, jungle themes, and all sorts of different unique obstacles, creatures that you encounter to go with them. So yeah, that's Noobs in Space at a high level. We like to think of that game sort of as our version of Angry Birds. And
John, just really quickly and everything, and actually it's a two-part question and everything. One is, I know Jatovia has oftentimes on this show talked about the importance of education. So I was wondering if your space elements are actually involving like real space and real knowledge about space. So that's one question. And then the second part of that question, the show might be extended because both of these are probably long-winded questions and everything, is definitely if somebody wanted to get into video game making and everything of that nature, what kind of advice would you give to folks if they wanted to become you and make their own video game? So like I said, that's a two-part question, but the first one is the education aspect, and the second one is advice that you would give to aspiring video game makers.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are both great questions. In terms of the educational component, I grew up with two younger siblings. One boy, one girl. Both of them played games, fell in love with different types of games. But what I learned from both of them and from other kids, growing up, is that if a kid understands like this is an educational game, like they're smart enough to recognize that you're sort of pandering to them, and they're not going to be as interested as they are in games that their older siblings are playing or that the cool kids are playing, right? So I'm a big believer that if you want to build, an effective educational experience into a game, you have to start first and foremost by building a game that's fun and engaging. And so, we love the idea of using, building a successful game and then being able to leverage that success to educate people in subtle ways. We can use Noobs in Space to teach people about space and different planets. And then, eventually our goal is to, build games that get bigger and better over time. And each game that we release introduces a new piece of noob technology, but also, it enables us to build out a new piece of technology towards ultimately building, an experience where the noobs can actually come to Earth and start taking over the world. And, we've got all sorts of ideas for building, like a Risk-style map game on top of the real-world map where, the noobs can come down and start taking over, all sorts of places, Starbucks, McDonald's, your house. And go from there. And when you start integrating games into the real world map, I think, the sky is the limit for ways that you can educate people. People will passively learn more about the geography of the world. It's an opportunity to teach people about, different cultures and what's going on throughout the world. And that's really where our second game, Noob Tubes, comes into effect, because Noob Tubes is how the noobs battle for territories, and it introduces this new piece of noob technology called the Noob Tube. And, Siren brought up, esports and how that's, your day job. And Noob Tubes is, I think, the game that we think has a lot of that sort of esports potential. It can be very spectator friendly. As for your second question, any advice that I would have for an entrepreneur or anyone who wants to get into the game space, I think everyone is in a unique situation, right? I was very fortunate to have the family and the resources that I had. And so I certainly wouldn't say like, oh, follow the path that I followed. I think everyone's story is unique. And ultimately, what I've learned about entrepreneurship over the years is that if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to really do two things. One is you need to be persistent, above all else. It's really the only trait that you need to have. So if you want to be in the game space, if you want to build games, and the only thing you really need is that desire and that willingness to keep going. And then the second thing is you need to be a resource magnet. So you need to understand what resources you have, what resources you don't have. And when you create things, you need to make sure that you're creating things that attract other resources, whether it's people who are inspired by what you're doing and want to join your team, or maybe they inspire investors to back your company, or they inspire gamers to back your company. Or maybe it's about, teaching yourself how to code and start building your game yourself. Noob Tubes and Noobs in Space, both of them are available to testers. They can go to our website, they can click early access, they can type in their phone number, and we'll text you a link to download both games within minutes. But that's not how we started. We started with, very simple prototypes. My little brother actually built the initial concept for Noobs in Space as part of his AP computer science final in high school. And we were like,
Wow.
This is like a really sticky mechanic. What if we took this Noobs IP that we've created and put it on top of it? And sure enough, we had something that we could start to show people to get people excited about, what we were doing. So, whether it's, learning to code and being able to start building your vision yourself, or recruiting other people who can help you in that journey. And then the other part of it too is, you can't necessarily be married to your idea and say, like, I have this one idea and I'm going to pursue it to the ends of the earth. Because
valid. Yes. So valid.
When you are bringing,
that happens a lot.
It does.
People do that. And they stick to it, and then they can't let it go, and then that falls apart because they refuse to change or grow. Yes. Yeah. Continue. Sorry.
It's okay. And so I'm sure, Siren, like, you come into a new project, right? And you want to contribute, you want to make it your own, you want to be a valued member of the team. And the only way to really do that is to allow people to come in and not only understand what you're trying to do, but, share ideas, allow the idea to evolve. Because this company is, in our current state, is nowhere near what it was in the beginning, right? In the beginning, I was solely focused on, like, let's build a real world map game. Let's take risk. Let's build it on top of GPS. And we didn't have any clue as to what sort of story or IP we were going to put on top of it. But our willingness to evolve and be creative and harness that creative energy allowed us to come up with an IP that sort of took the best of everything that we were doing and allows it to grow and get more people excited and brings even more people into the vision and the world, or I should say the universe of the Noobs. So, that's a lot of different advice and a lot of things for things to think about, but that's sort of
John,
where I would start.
But John, you know what happened?
Oh,
yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask because Siren's right. That is so true about so many people get stuck in the head about it's this, I got this rock and that's the only rock I got and that's all I'm gonna sell is this rock. I don't care about if you want to carve it. It's this rock. You're gonna buy it. No, you got to change. You got to adapt. In that evolutionary process, and you had kind of mentioned about with the Noobs in Space competing against other people. Were you guys in that process? Did you guys ever think of taking it the Tetris 99 or the Mario 35 route?
That is a great question. I don't think in general, we're big fans of those games. I have a guy on my team who's like obsessed with Tetris. And so
Tetris.
The Battle 99 component, I could definitely see how we could do that with Noobs in Space. So it's not something that we have discussed yet internally, but now we will, because you brought that up.
I'm on the team now. I'm on the team.
Yeah, in general, though, I'm a huge fan of the Battle Royale style. I played Fortnite for a long time when it came out. Until they sucked up the first map and released the second map. That was when I sort of jumped ship. Big fan of Fall Guys as well. I think people have done a great job of capturing the excitement around the battle royale mode and putting different interesting twists on it. So that's definitely something that we could do with Noobs in Space and potentially Noob Tubes as well. And if that's what our community is excited about, like I said, we've had over 750 people have jumped aboard the Noobs mothership so far and counting, then we would love to build an experience like that.
On I guess a mechanics note, are you guys pulling the Flappy Bird community that when Flappy Bird went Viral became the biggest game, and then of course got pulled. It seems like Noobs in Space has a similar mechanic of you just touch and it goes opposite direction, similar to Flappy Bird, of course, where you touch.
Or the Ribbit one, the hop one too.
Yep. So
Tiny Wings was another game that was similar.
Tiny Wings.
Yep,
I love
Tiny
Wings with those Sloopies. Yes.
So are you guys pulling that same community? Is that the idea or the group that you're going for?
So I think that our gameplay is very sort of conducive to that. We're trying to make the gameplay a little bit more puzzly. So it's about learning the different creatures and figuring out how they all sort of come together to solve the different puzzles. But I mean, Flappy Bird did so many amazing things, right? You talk about like a game that just like took off organically. I remember when I was first introduced to Flappy Bird, I was in my apartment in college. And my roommate storms into my room and he like throws his phone at me. He's like, I can't beat this game. Like, let's see how well you do. And I think I got like 0 the first like 5 or 6 times I tried. And then like eventually I was able to clear the first pipe consistently. And so we both sat in my room for like 30 minutes, like trying to get past like the second or third pipe. And so then out of frustration, like we storm into my next roommate's room and it's like an hour later, all of us are in the common area, like playing Flappy Bird. And like, one of my
love
roommates
that
gets
shit.
level 5 and we're just like, screw this, you know? So, enabling people to like compete against each other in that sort of natural way and giving people that like obvious means of comparing themselves and competing against each other is exactly what we're sort of trying to tap into from that respect. And then having that additional functionality that Flappy Bird didn't have of allowing you to post your performance online via video or via GIF. And, obviously integrating all sorts of stuff into emerging social media platforms. The more that we can integrate with a platform like TikTok, I think the better off we'll be and the greater chance we have.
Please give me integration. Yes.
And then, I was going to say, there's another game that we all used to love, Temple Run. Amanji Games is actually here in North Carolina. Matter of fact, down here, Mark, I don't know if you know, they're right down the street from us. But Temple Run was
that was hot.
No,
that was hot for a while. That was everybody's game.
Noobs in Space. See, now I got ideas. You could throw that in an endless runner race where you're all going around this giant planet and whoever wins.
I like that the physics are off. It's a 2D game, but it's circular as opposed to linear. I like that. That's awesome. There's a lot of cool shit you can do. Like that just makes me think of Lion World. I don't know. It's a short story. It's real nerdy, but there's a short story basically about shapes in a 2-dimensional world from their perspective. So it's like, hey, look, a dot. Hey, look, a line. And that's like the whole short story. But that's kind of what it reminds me of, where it's like the physics and stuff is off. Yeah. Like it's 2D. I want it to be linear, I don't know. I like it. Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool.
In fact, we can add some facts on the game. Right, when you are climbing on that particular satellite or a planet, you can share some facts about as well. That could be a lot of information for a lot of young people as well who doesn't know about the planet. Maybe something which is interesting fact. Maybe one fact, and then every fact will add some rewards value to that as well. But John, what happens is that whenever we do the Gamers Zen show, we come up with the game idea and then it vanishes on the second episode, and then we come up with something else. So maybe while creating Jalgar or maybe Noobs or whatever you're trying to do, you come up with a lot of new game ideas as well. So
we'll just come up with it for you.
Okay, Ankit, it's a perfect time because we're gonna drop our game. We're gonna give it to John. It could be a Noobs with the grocery cart.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying because I wanted to. I wanted to know that because when you come up with a new idea, will you just write it down or you wait for the right time or what do you do?
It's a great question. Part of it is like a bandwidth question, right? Like how many games can our team like afford to work on at the same time? Right. So there's generally we just start from like a documentation standpoint. We write down like, okay, what are our goals? What's the gameplay look like? And when you really start from like understanding what goals you're trying to accomplish, it will move the conversation in so many different directions. Like, okay, well, originally we were focused on this mechanic because we were trying to accomplish this goal, but there are really other ways that we could accomplish this goal. And sure enough, you have all sorts of different ideas and ways that you can, build an experience around the goals that you're trying to accomplish. So that's how we start from scratch typically, but it can really come from anywhere. You just have to sort of let inspiration come to you in any form. So, if you come up with like a game mechanic first, right? Like with Noobs in Space, we started with a game mechanic that we thought was sort of really sticky and fun. And then we sort of built everything out from there. So, I think the first step, right, when you come up with a game idea is to start writing it down and sort of figuring out what your goals are and what the gameplay is like and what the setup is. And then from there, the next step is like, okay, what's like the simplest version of this that we can build to see how fun the mechanics are. And you learn a lot from just doing those things.
Hey, John, you've created this game company. It's definitely, I'm loving the concept of the game like everybody else is here as well. So definitely we'll try to get the game when it's released and everything. But what is one of the biggest myths that you run across when folks find out that you are an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur of a game company? So I'm sure that as you tell your friends that this is your business, that there are a lot of stereotypes that you have to face as an entrepreneur. So what's one of the biggest myths that you face?
I think the biggest myth that I face in the game space is the idea that you can just sort of like snap your fingers and then boom, like your game is like ready to launch. And, there's so much, just on the back end that you need to build, right? I like to tell people all the time, if you want to there's a difference between being a tech entrepreneur and being a games entrepreneur, right? If you want to build the next social media platform, right? You build your website, you turn the thing on and it works. All right, boom, you're live, you're ready to go. In the game space, though, like we're just trying to get our product to work so that we can start to make it fun. So, you see, I think, stories all the time, right? The CEO of Niantic said Pokemon Go took 20 years to become an overnight success. So I think people really, in general, right, unless you are immersed in the space, whether you're in the game space or you're an entrepreneur, or especially if you're an entrepreneur in the game space, it takes a lot of resources to build amazing games, typically. Right. Or there's got to be something special there. And it's not a science. A lot of it is an art. And it's about, like I said, pulling the resources together to keep moving your direction forward, keep moving the vision forward until ultimately you have something that, you have people playing it, you have metrics that you can look at, and those metrics tell you, hey, this thing is ready for the spotlight. This thing is ready to go live. Because as I'm sure we all know, right, we've all seen over the last year in particular, when game companies are like, we've got deadlines, we've just got to push this thing live at all costs, and then they push it live, and then the thing blows up.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly. It fails in spectacular fashion, and failure isn't something that we're necessarily afraid of. One of Tim Draper's mantras at Draper University, part of his superhero creed, was, "I will fail and fail again until I succeed." But ideally, you sort of contain those failures and learn a lot for them. And so by the time you're ready to put it in the app store, your game won't like catch on fire or, make your phone, shut down or anything like that, Mark. So yeah.
Well, I think another thing that people don't understand necessarily about app development or throwing one out is the maintenance. So every time that you get an OS update, it very well could screw with any of their proxies, any of their algorithms or whatever. And then that's where we get the updates and the patches in our games. But I mean, I think that's another part when it's like the difference between being a tech and a game guy, right?
Right.
Like where one side you're thinking of one thing, but really to keep it up is a totally different thing. The actual production and keeping it live and continuing to keep it fresh, adding new levels, like that baby is constantly needing some lovin's, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if your game blows up right before you're really ready for that, then you're spending all your time just focused on how do I keep this thing alive? And you don't focus as much time like how do I improve this? How do I make it a better experience? How do I, what's my community saying about this game? And I think we saw that a little bit with Fall Guys when it first took off. It sort of became much bigger than they expected. And so they spent a lot of time just trying to keep the game up and running. So that, keep it afloat and allowing people to keep playing it. And, I came into the space as a gamer, right? Holding the controller, not understanding any of these things, having to sort of learn them the hard way. So being like a kid in high school being like, why doesn't Epic do this? Why doesn't, EA do that? A lot of those things are, they're easy to conceptualize, but they're much harder to execute. Like Siren said, especially when you have a game up and running and live. So, the tech part is a huge part of that.
Because I feel like starting has got to be the easiest part. As weird as that sounds, like, yeah, you've got all this setup, but you are in control of all the variables. Right? Like once you go live and you start adding in, the extra variables and the externals, I just feel like it just goes from like, yeah, we're okay to oh shit, like real quick, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like ultimately once you launch your product, it's no longer your game, and it's the game of the people who are playing it. And you want to be prepared to collect that feedback and iterate, as quickly as possible. So you definitely want to make sure that your tech is up to snuff there and won't require a lot of Band-Aid patches once you're live.
Other than the obvious, which everybody needs, even IBM TV needs at some point or another, which is, of course, capital and all of that. If somebody was watching this on the international platform and they were like, I'm really liking John, I'm liking John's game and everything, what are some of the things that are needed by your company that folks may be able to bring to the table that you don't have?
Yeah, so I think, the two things that we're looking for right now are capital and people, fans, whether they're angel investors, avid gamers, casual gamers. We're looking to build a community of people who have a vested interest in our success. So, you think back to, the early days of Kickstarter and companies like Oculus, they would raise millions of dollars on Kickstarter. And then what would those backers get, right? They would get, a beta version of the Oculus. But, imagine if all of those backers also had shares in the company. Imagine how much wealth that would have created for all of those people. So that's the type of experience that we're trying to create for our community. We're looking for people who are going to play our games or introduce our games to their kids or their grandkids, whoever it is. And they want to feel a little bit better about, their kids or themselves spending all of that money in our games, right? Because they can say, well, at the very least, I own some shares in the company. So, it's going all back into my own pocket. So, this is how, right, publishers, big
boy
VCs,
business.
yeah, exactly.
I like it.
They, that's typically how it's run, right? You build a game, you try to get a publisher or a big name VC or a couple of them to back you. We're trying to sort of, do two different things at once, right? We're trying to raise the same amount of capital, but from a larger people of people who are also more likely to be customers and people who will feel a little bit better about spending money in our game. And anyone who wants a piece of the action, they can go to invest.zelgor.com. Like I said, we've raised $250,000 so far from over 750 people buying shares for as little as 50 cents a share. And you can buy as little as one share. So if you want to become a shareholder for 50 cents, by all means, climb on board the mothership. And so, yeah, you can become a shareholder and own a piece of our success and come along for the ride with us. Or you can also play our games, give us feedback, go to our website, zelgor.com, click early access, type in your phone number. We will text you a link to play the demos of Noobs in Space and Noob Tubes within minutes. And yeah, we will, ultimately, like I said, once we, put a game out there, it's no longer our game and it becomes your game. And so, the more that we can get people playing our games in early access, giving us feedback so that we can make sure we're ready to go before we ultimately release the Noobs universe on the world, the better. So yeah, whether people want to invest or play our games or both, we'd love to have you in any shape or form.
Well, I know one of the things we've got here going on, because I was just thinking about this, is we've got the IBM TV family, some folks that are involved in filmmaking and in other things. So we might have to create a new TV show or a new movie as well. So we're going to have to talk to the guys with Talking Upstream and see if they can't create something for John and everything. So we might have to create this whole other part of the marketing.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're a mobile game company, but ultimately, we want to expand into other forms of media, shows, movies, other games, and other platforms. Really take the Noobs IP and use mobile gaming as a launch pad, to take over all of these other different multimedia industries. So we're certainly interested in making shows, making movies, making short clips. Anywhere you can imagine the Noobs is where we want to take them.
So that means I can see Noob India coming soon in coming years.
Yeah, hopefully we would love to send the Noobs not only to India but anywhere in the world with their with the spaceships and Noob Tubes and And
hit me up sometime. We do a lot of marketing. I would be happy to play your game on stream and throw it out to some of the schools and the contracts and stuff I have. Just after this, we'll talk. I'm in.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, first and foremost, you enjoy playing the game, and we'd love to get your feedback as somebody who's a player, so that you're not sitting there on the stream going like, "Yeah, this is so fun. I'm enjoying this." So making sure the game is actually fun is a huge priority. And so somebody like you who grew up playing games and has made a career out of it is always incredible feedback for sure.
Yeah, I'm in. I'd love it. I'm down.
Excellent.
I think it's cool just personally because I'm the mobile gamer, so I don't often get to do new games from the back end. So this is pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Here's a fun part. Siren, Bull City Gaming versus Cedo Gaming.
Oh, honey, you don't want me on mobile. Are you out your damn mind?
It is on.
You fight me on a mobile game? Let's do this, bro.
It is on.
I'm ready.
The battle royale has gotten going on everything. John, I've actually, just because of the gaming show, become more involved in gaming because I was old school board game kind of guy, but would do occasional video game here and there. But I do have two nephews that are all about new games, so I will definitely be trying to get them into news on space and seeing whether Julius and Langston, my two nephews, can handle the game, because I tell you, they love finding new games and playing them. As I was telling Jatovi during one of our last holiday breaks, they were pulling me off to the side, telling me about this game or that game that they had found and had deep interest in. So they're of that age, definitely being preteens, all about the game. So I will be definitely reaching out to you and trying to find a way to get it into their hands as well as my own hands. Maybe it'll help me become the cool uncle and everything and everything of that nature. It's always important to be the cool uncle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Mark, it should be noob uncle, not cool uncle.
Yeah, noob uncle.
Yeah, and that's part of the community that we've been able to build, right, Mark? Is maybe you don't play mobile games yourself, but you've got kids or grandkids or nephews, whoever it is, and you can envision your kids playing these types of games as they come out. And so
no, these are nice though, because at least like the in space, it's chill. Like you were talking about your ability to just pick it up or whatever. I mean, that's nice. Yeah. They're short rounds, you know what I mean? And that's what keeps you coming back is the short rounds. As you fail at a short round, you're like, shit, one more time. Right. One more time, So that mechanism is ageless.
It kind of comes back to what Anki was talking about with some of the longer games. And I do like the short games because, like you said, they can end and everything. But I am with Anki because I can tell you that on some of our family outings, that's sometimes where you're having a hard time pulling the nephews or some of the second cousins and everything, because they are so attached to the game that you would like to have that point where they could literally, like Anki was saying earlier, stop the game and then come back to the game where they left it so they could have dinner and then come back to where they finished at.
No. So Mark, what happened is that I start a meeting at some time, and then after 3 meetings, when I check out Facebook, I still see Jatovi playing a game, and I was like, wow, it's still playing the game.
That's because Jatovi lives on the game world. Jatovi, what y'all don't understand is that there's really this kind of like cyber world that Jatovi is part of. So we've hit him in the TV because he's literally like absorbed into the TV. If you remember that old TV show?
Don't judge us.
I am the Matrix.
Yeah. We live in the Matrix. Yeah, don't judge us. All our friends are online. So what? You don't know my life.
Actually, I do have a question about your the community build, though. I did notice on the site you have Twitter, you have Facebook, you have YouTube, you have LinkedIn, you have Instagram. Are you guys going to build a Discord channel? That's a huge one.
Yeah, so we have a Discord channel as well. I'm surprised it's not up there, but we can get that squared away for you. But we do have a Discord channel, and we will be building a TikTok page as well as we start generating some TikTok-specific content and integrating our games with TikTok.
I know what I want to talk about next week because I know I can't start it now, but I would love for you guys all to be here because what can we talk about the million media sites and all the stupid shit that we have to do to put it out there? And if there's a better way, because I want to shoot myself in the foot. And I'm so tired of it. And they're all different. And this is the way I feel about subscription shit too. It's like, did you want to watch Disney? Too bad. Like, did you want to watch? Like, you have to pay for this every month and this. And I don't know. I do want to talk about media stuff though, like because all of us have to market. All of us deal with that.
But Shiran, I have a solution for it. I mean, forget everything, just watch IBM TV. That's it.
That's right.
Oh yeah, obviously. That's all I need.
Just come to IBM TV. It's a simple solution. Of course, there is a catch to that because we are now a subscription-based service as well.
I swear to you, I will fight you.
I can offer you a free subscription for some time. So don't worry about that.
Thank you. Subscription based. So over it. Yay! Thank you, Kara. But we can talk about, I'm down to talk about it next week because I do want to pick people's brains. Because all of us, even Kara, we all come from actually different aspects and different parts of the entrepreneurial world. But that is one thing that every single one of us has in common, and it's one of your core requirements is the accessibility and getting it out there and all of that. I mean, it's something that every single one of us, regardless of what the business itself is, as an entrepreneur, have to deal with. I don't know. Yeah. I know it's not necessarily gamers' den, but no, a lot of people are dealing with that with streaming.
A lot of these issues are all related. They're all tied into each other. And I agree with you. I've got all those accounts that you just mentioned. I hate to admit it, being the older one in the crowd in the late 50s and everything, but I do have a TikTok account. I don't use it, even though it exists, but I do have a TikTok account, and I definitely got Instagram. I definitely got LinkedIn. I've definitely got Twitter. As a matter of fact, I think Jacoby follows me on all of those different accounts that I've got and everything. So it's way too many.
The social stuff, I mean, all that you were just talking about, Siren, that is all part of gaming. I mean, as you see, I got the scroll down at the bottom for Bull City Gaming, the 3 of them that are there. Plus, I can add in a patron site. I can add in the Twitter.
Oh, yeah, Patreon and all of that shit. I totally forgot about all that.
It is nuts.
Because he had the Invest one too, and I've not seen that one. So I've seen like Patreon and Streamlabs Tip, and I mean, there's just so much.
The Reddit, you got to have a Reddit site too. Don't forget that one.
Yeah, don't forget Reddit.
Who doesn't have Reddit?
You got to have Reddit.
Reddit.
Fark is another one.
And
you're making shit up now. No.
Tell me, what's this other one? I don't have that one. What's the new one?
Fark.
Bullshit.
Fark.
Bullshit. You're so full of it.
There's a community. There's a community everywhere.
It's called Fark. I'm going to fight you. Are you kidding? Are you just making things up to mess with me? Because that's what it feels like. I feel like you're just like, she'll believe it, anything. Like,
there you go. Fark.
What? Fark. You stop right now.
I told you.
Well, and then you just told me about Treehouse. Like, what the? It's way too much.
No, Clubhouse, not Treehouse.
Whatever.
Clubhouse,
that too.
Gotta have Clubhouse.
Ugh. Okay. We're definitely talking about this next week, then.
I thought there's just so many in terms of marketing and social media and everything. That's why I say that's a part of gaming. I completely agree.
And Jacoby, we haven't even talked about the ones that exist because of the different ethnicities and everything. We're just talking about the ones that are universal and everything. We haven't even gone into like Black Planet or a number of other ones.
And then if you want to go hood, go World Star.
Exactly.
I don't know what the new one is, but I don't know. World Star. I was in Walmart the other day, random, and I just heard someone from the very back go, World Star, and this freaking giant beach ball comes crashing over all the aisles. I was like, yes, that was awesome. Fucking psychos. Okay. I have to go. I'm so sorry. We've ran over, but I'm late, so I have to leave.
We are sorry. At the end of the show. Thank you. Hopefully, John, we can get you to come back again. And I'm serious. It's gonna be we're gonna do a Bull City Gaming versus Cito Gaming, and it's going to be me versus Siren in New Planet. It's in
I'm
going to win. New Space. You crazy. I'm going to dominate. Please. I'm going to dominate Noobs in Space.
So this is going to be, it's going to be very easy for us to tell who wins. All you got to do is go into deep space. We'll see your usernames on the leaderboard, and we'll see who ends up on top.
Ninja Priest, bring it.
Flexing.
All right, gentlemen. I do have to go. I have to go now. I'm sorry, but
tell them where to find you.
You can find Siren at cetogaming.com, on our Twitch at Ceto Gaming. I do analytics and tactics for Call of Duty Modern Warfare tournaments, for Fortnite tournaments. I also talk builds and structure and random crap like that. I am also, as I said, the mobile gamer. So Wednesdays through Sunday evenings, every night on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, you can come play Clash Royale with myself and Nessie. I think that's everything. I hope. Fingers crossed.
How many trophies do you have in Clash Royale, Siren?
I have 3 accounts, and they sit at about 65, 45, and 3K.
65. All right. I'm going to have to watch your stream then to figure out how to break through 6,000.
Yeah, 6 is rough. I think the new season restarted, and then I got a whole new deck. So I think I'm at that one might be at like 48 right now because I'm trying out a bunch of different crap.
Right.
But yeah, definitely join me sometime. Ceto Gaming. But gentlemen, I love you guys. It was super fun, and I'll see you next week.
Sounds great.
All right, see ya. I guess we are at it is coming up on 3:30, and I don't want to hold John the whole time because I know he has to get back to getting noobs out there, and we're gonna make sure Bolt City Gaming, that whole crew, takes care of it. So I guess before we go, we're gonna do the round just like Siren did. John, we just talked about noobs. Tell us again where to find noobs, how to get into it, and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're interested in becoming a part of the Noobs universe and you're interested in becoming an investor, you can visit us at invest.zelgor.com. If you want to become a tester, go to our website, zelgor.com, click early access, give us your phone number. We'll text you a link to download both Noobs in Space and Noob Tubes in Minutes. And you can follow us pretty much anywhere. Companies can be followed using @Zelgor Games, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can find us on Discord as well. And yeah, hope to see everyone soon in the universe of noobs playing Noobs in Space. And hopefully we'll catch Jatovi, Siren, Mark, Iankit, all of you on the Deep Space leaderboard pretty soon.
Wonderful.
All right.
Great.
Mark, go ahead. Do your goodbye as well.
Yep, you can definitely find me on most social media, whether that's Instagram, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Twitter, or a number of other sources at Lee Entertainment 62. And of course, on LinkedIn, you can also find me at Blues Radio. I've got a number of shows here on the IBM TV network, including the radio show with Mark Lee, Mullins Music and Memories, both on Monday, as well as the online dinner party on Wednesday, where you get to have all kinds of amazing conversations with entrepreneurs and some good old-fashioned humor and conversation and all of that. So that's where you can find me at. And I'm going to try to make it a point to get on that leaderboard. I've not been on a leaderboard in a number of things, but I'm going to see if I can't get on that leaderboard. Since it's new, I've got a better chance of being on a leaderboard since there aren't like millions and billions of people yet. But I know that that's coming. So I need to jump on the leaderboard while it's in the earlier stages versus the latter stages when that leaderboard probably is not going to happen. But definitely look forward to seeing John come back on the Gamers Den, because I love popping in on Thursdays at the Gamers Den, helping with the interviews and things of that nature with my good friend Jatovi. But also know that you're welcome to come on any of the other platforms that I am a part of and to share your story with that part of our audience as well. So that's a little bit about me. And by the way, John, I need some blues music on the new universe. So find me some blues and some jazz playing in the background.
All right. Ankit, tell us about IBM TV. Give us a good closing for IBM TV.
So IBM TV is, we have successfully finished our live IBM TV for 1 year on 7th of March. Now, this year is all about OTT platforms and coming up with multiple new channels, which is still in the talks. So maybe in summers we'll find something new coming up in IBM TV. And we are working on a lot of new events and shows and awards as well. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up, but I can't disclose a lot of stuff right now. But we are moving really fast with the new channels, new language, and new demographics only on IBM TV.
Awesome. So that's going to close us out here on the Gamers Den. Once again, every Thursday at 1. We usually end at 3, but hey, we went over. We had a great guest in John. He was giving us a good rundown on Noobs in Space, and we got a challenge on the floor. So we'll see you guys next week to see who's going to win this challenge and if Mark will make the leaderboard.
That would be